Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And it's Tuesday night here in the NBA, still just 6 games to choose from like we had last night on Monday. In this one, we're taking a look at those Cleveland Cavaliers. They are in Brooklyn taking on the Nets. Also got another game video up for you and our player props, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along with us. Also head to thelines.com. That's the website we have up there with all the great written content for you guys and more, including the odds finder tool that we have up there. That's what Nate and I are using every morning, making sure we're getting the best odds available to us from these U.S. sports books. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into this little slate here for Tuesday night and then talk about these Nets and Cavs.
And feel free to talk about / capitulate winning both those under and over bets last night that we disagreed on. But yeah, that's on you. What we got Wiz +1 at the Magic to start it off. And this game, Cavs are -3 at the Nets, 218 total. Pistons +14 at Atlanta. The Spurs +13 at the Pelicans. Celtics are -5 in Sacramento, total creeping up a bit. We'll look at that game. The total right now is around 240. Kings are on a back-to-back, of course, after losing in Utah there. And then the Thunder +7 at Clips to close out the slate. But the Cavs here, I'm not even talking about totals. I don't want to look at that at 218. It's very low, but the Nets offense is not trustworthy. We finally seen regression hit like a ton of bricks here after they really popped up and caught a bunch of teams. They won 5 of 6. They punted a game against Milwaukee, but still covered. And they were just catching teams by surprise. Mikal Bridges suddenly looking like like an even swap for Kevin Durant in some sort of crazy 6-game sample size. And now he's still scoring 27 a game in their last 3 here, but with terrible efficiency. It's obviously regressed there, 105 rating. You look at Cam Johnson, also bad efficiency, shooting 31% from 3 in their last 3 here. Nick Claxton has been good, but does not perform against the Cavs, as you would expect. They don't let him score down low, 5 points per game in 4 career against the Cavs. And Seth Curry's also been good offensively, but not defensively. I mean, he's a 120 defensive rating in these last 3, where the Nets are scoring under 102 a game. And that's not just the small sample size of 3 games here. You look at their last 4 home games in general, 101 points per game, 12 threes at under 33%, 42% field goal shooting. And that's just always the concern, is like, where are the points going to come from when they don't have the 2 playmakers as we expected? They managed to kind of pull the wool over your eyes for a while, but now it's just looking awful. And it's like, sure, the first game was against the Bucks, the best defense in the league, without Drew and Giannis, though. And then these last 3 games are against Charlotte, Sacramento, and Denver, which is reeling. Denver, which is awful on the road defensively. So it's not like we're saying anything about the matchup here. It's just the fact that the Nets are not a good offensive team now, as we'd expect, and as the front office, frankly, should recognize that it's a year to maybe drop lower in the standings, or just, continue to see what they have. Look, just since the trade, again, zooming out, larger sample, at home versus on the road, they've actually been way worse offensively in the dead arena that is Barclays, right? The dark dead arena, scoring 103 a game versus 114 on the road, 7 fewer free throw attempts, worse 3-point shooting. In general, they're dead last in fast break point percentage, in paint points percentage. And so it's all about the 3 ball, right? Scoring the 6th highest percentage of points off threes. And the Cavs are actually struggling in terms of the quality of looks they give up from 3, right? Dead last in percentage, but limiting the attempts overall since the All-Star break, if you look at that. And really, just with the Cavs, it's so simple that it's just like, they're not the type of team to let the Nets surprise them, or like to take a team lightly. They love these opportunities to just beat down a bad team. They've won 9 straight against Eastern Conference teams that are out of the playoffs right now. And that's, and they're 30-10 against teams below 500. The Nets are neither, but frankly, after this trade, they are on the same competitive balance. They're one of the worst teams in the East. And I just trust the Cavs to take care of business here. It's just -3. They could get Jaren Allen back as well. He's missed 4 games with an eye injury. If he comes back, there will reportedly be no limitations, no goggles or anything, and then he'll be going up against his former team along with LeVert, who is hot lately. So the fact that maybe Mikal Bridges does a good job on Donnie Mitchell, which he's done recently, not as big of a problem because Garland is going to cook whatever Brooklyn Nets guard is on him. LeVert is going to cook off the bench, and the Cavs have been scoring pretty well lately, in addition to their defense, which is still well above average.
It is. Yeah, it is above average. I think the only thing that scares me about this Cavs team is just that they haven't been playing well on the road. Let me preface this with, I also don't have the desire to go after the total. There was one game, I think, that went under last night. It was the only one I thought was going to go over. So I'm off totals for tonight. Well done, Nate, on putting up those totals. This one, Cleveland, right? And I'm going to talk about the struggles on the road a little bit for them since the All-Star break and even one game right before that. But that's not really going to be as relevant here when you look at what Brooklyn does at home. But for Cleveland, starting with that road stuff, I mean, it's just a lot different than it is at home. And it's really just because they forget to bring their defense with them. Their offense is what it is at this point. It's about 115 points a game. It's playing at like a 95, 96 pace. And it's just really bully ball outside. It's the two guards orchestrating everything and then bully ball after that once the ball's up and out of their hands. So they've gone 7-1 to the over on the road since that All-Star break, in one game before, really. And they're 3-4 at that point, or 3-5 rather, in those games. So not playing great because that 118 defensive rating, like I said, which is way up from that roughly like 107 that they're playing with at home. So it's just a little bit higher scoring. This one's at 218.5, and there's no reason for me to really get into that if I feel good about the Cavs being able to handle this team. I don't want to say handle this team, but I just want to say that the way that Brooklyn needs to win is bombing threes and Mikal going off and then guys around him making all their threes. That's how they win. We talked about it directly after the trade happened, and we started the show with welcome to the new look Brooklyn Nets, and that's what they continue to be. The problem is that even though, like you said, Cleveland giving up a really high percentage from deep, they're not allowing you to shoot, right? Because defense is effort. And if you run around on the 3-point line and just give effort against those 3-point shooters, unlike the New York Knicks last night, who gave up 140 points because they didn't do that, then you're in a pretty good spot to just limit them to 11 threes, 12 threes. Let's say they hit 12 of 33s. Really great percentage. That's still just 12, and they're not getting any points in the paint. They're not getting points from anywhere else. They're getting 49% of their points from the 3-point line. Rather, they're shooting 49% of their shots from there. They're making enough to score like 46% of their points from three. So they're going to have to chuck, which does, bode well for them hitting more because they're going to put up more, but that percentage, they're just going to get smothered around the perimeter, I think. And because of the fact that they know that these Cavs team know they don't have to help out anybody. If Jared Allen plays, which it seems like he's likely to play, and maybe he'll be a little bit hobbled, fine. But it's not like they're honestly not even that much worse without him because of the rise of Evan Mobley, who's gotten so much better throughout this season as well, including defending the rim, which he's done super well, in the last 4 games since Allen has been out. So, there's not going to necessarily be any way for the Nets to get to the bucket at that point because I think they're just going to pack it in. And the Cavs they're a situational team, man. It's odd, but I like looking at the trends with them just as much as any team because they really do seem to have sort of a different style on the road versus at home and a different style in mind when they're the favorite. They've been one of the best teams as the favorite, second best percentage in covering on the season, 36-21 covering those games as the favorite versus the East. They're covering 27 out of 44 games, including winning those games by an average of 7 points. And then as the away favorite, which is a really weird, trend that not that many teams even have a record for because not that many teams are good enough to be favored on the road. But this team in 22 games that they've been favored on the road have covered in 13 of those, won in 19 of 22, and are covering by 7 points in those games. So they only need to cover by 3. That's why it's just like, this is too low, y'all. And even though, Mikal is someone that I would like to target because he scores so many more points at home and he's putting so many shots up no matter what because that's all they've got. It's just clearly not going to be enough because they control the tempo of the game when they're on defense, the Cavs. They can funnel the ball to where they want it and bring it right down low to where they have 2 of the best interior defenders in the league.
And they'll control the boards, right? I mean, let's talk about the defense and the winning margins aside from their inability to score. The Nets are 28th in rebounding rate since the trade as well. Also allowing the most rebounds overall, the third most second chance points since the break. They're 21st in opponents' 3-point shooting and 22nd in paint points. The one thing they are limiting is points off turnovers. They are taking care of the ball, and the Cavs are scoring. The most percentage of points off turnovers in the league since the break. So that makes me shy away from the over a little bit. But the fact that the Cavs' second biggest maker is in the paint, and like we talk about, like Seth Curry playing or Patty Mills playing against some of these guards that now the Cavs are deploying 3 guards that can just get their own shot. They score an extremely high rate of unassisted threes, unassisted twos, because those guys are just playmakers. I do think they have no problem winning this one here. Yeah, like you said, the numbers you rattle off, it's covering the spread too, and this is almost a spread they don't have to cover. They just have to win, and they're again 30-10 against teams with losing records, and have 30 10-point wins this season as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do win by double digits. It is maybe worth looking at an alternate spread, because if I was setting this line, it would definitely be 5 or 6.
Yeah,
I think for the Cavs.
I think so. I thought it would be closer to 5.5, even 6.5. I thought it would get bet up as well. It only really went from 2.5 to 3 at this point. So I think people find this fair. That in and alone makes me go, what am I missing? Because even at home, this Nets team, 106 defensive rating since the trades at home. I mean, compared to 120 on the road, but that's alongside 103 offensive rating. So it's it's just a slower pace. It's just a choppy game. If they don't just if they don't just pour in 3-pointers and Mikal does things that we haven't seen before from him, then there's not much to believe in for them, and that's the anomaly here. And the Cavs themselves remain, one of the top 5 teams in terms of defending shooting guards. So it's not a position that you feel good about Mikal being able to go up on, as this Cavs team should be looking to stay ahead of the Knicks here and claim that 4 seed, which they can do with a couple more wins down the stretch. So that is all the time we have for you in this one, though. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. Check out the other couple videos we have up for you today. Until we see you next, happy betting.